Hello, this is Michael Horner at fantastictraining.co.uk with the third screencast concerning presentation content. And today we're going to look at how we manage the expectations of our audience so we don't simply satisfy them, we delight them. And here's where we are on the overall presentation creation agenda. A little while back, I was commissioned by a leading marketing, advertising and communications group to do some research. What they wanted to find out was how effective the presentations that they were giving to their key clients were. This company did an awful lot of presentations, still do, and they wanted to make sure that they were communicating key values to their key clients. Now, for confidentiality purposes, I can't go into the absolute detail of the findings, but what we found were 10 clear mistakes or errors that presenters were making. And all of these, I believe, are easy to overcome. They're all common sense. And if you can follow all 10, then that means you're going to be ahead of the game. Chances are you will be delighting your audience. And let's go through each one point by point. The first one was that people want to feel that the presentation that you're delivering has been created specifically and exclusively for them. So make sure you do personalize it as much as possible and avoid comments like, we're road showing this all around, or we're showing this to your colleagues and to other parts of the organization. Make sure that it is personal to that particular audience. The second point was that people said, listen, we're drowning in information. The last thing I want to do is to go to a presentation and have yet more information thrown at me. What I want are things that will benefit me and my organization. Now let's just break this down. F stands for facts. Facts are hard information, and in general, guys, they're pretty tedious. So we keep them to the minimum, bearing in mind the 3 facts rule. Advantages are better than facts, but because they're quite generic, that means they're quite bland. They don't have an enormous amount of impact. But benefits are unique and they are special to me and to my organization, and as a consequence of that, they're exciting and they're motivating. So make sure that your presentation contains loads and loads of benefits and not too many facts. The third point was that people felt that presentations should be upbeat. I'm not talking about stand-up comedy here, but they should, in general, try to put a positive spin on everything. I'm attending a presentation. I would like to enjoy the experience and maybe develop relationships with the presenters. So make sure, as much as possible, that people really do enjoy your presentations. Fourth point was that ideas are cheap. I'm sitting here in the audience and I'm saying, okay, these are maybe they're good ideas, maybe they're not. But what I want you to prove to me is that these can be delivered, that they will be beneficial, and they're going to be relatively easy for me to put into action. Point 5 was, if there are costs involved, don't be shy about it. Don't be afraid to talk about money, but don't just mention price. Talk about what the value of the investment will be to me and to my organization. So put it into context. Point 6 was, and I'll be dealing with this in more detail when we look at how we structure presentations, make it easy for me to follow. If you want me to action your recommendations, then make the whole thing as straightforward as possible. If you make it complicated, chances are I'm going to lose interest in any case. Point 7 was set your agenda and stick to it. So if you're going to talk about ABC, stick to ABC. Don't wander off and start talking about D, E, F. Point 8 goes back to the point of leadership. As a presenter, you are in this position of leadership. So respect that. Run the meeting properly in a well-organized way and be very respectful of time. So, for example, if you've been allocated half an hour, make sure your presentation does not exceed half an hour. To overrun is extremely rude. Of course, if your audience is so fascinated and gripped by what you have to say and the meeting ends up taking 2 hours, that's fantastic and you should allow your own time for that. The 9th point was proofread everything. And by that, I don't mean just fix the typos, though it's important that we don't have typos in our presentation. What I mean is that everything you say, you can substantiate in some way or not. Otherwise, the whole presentation is going to look flaky. And I've left the final point to last because this was the biggest problem that everybody encountered. This is the one that if we can overcome this, guys, the chances are we are going to satisfy our audience's expectations. And I've broken it down into 4 parts. The first one is ask people for their reaction. What do you think about what I have just presented? Secondly, listen intently to what they have to say. Listen actively, so you make sure that you do take down all the upsides and all the criticisms that may be coming to you. The third point is agree a course of action. So based on what we've discussed, this is what I suggest we do now. Are we all agreed on that point? And then finally, for heaven's sake, follow up on whatever action has arisen from the meeting. Okay? Presentations are just like teeing up a golf shot. They are not the golf swing themselves. That's what happens after the presentation. The swing is far more important than the tee. It's just like the hors d'oeuvre. The presentation is just the hors d'oeuvre. It is not the main course. The main course is the action that occurs after the presentation. So, guys, if you want action, and I do suggest that every presentation you do is action generated, then make sure that you follow these simple steps. Otherwise, all you've done is wasted people's time, wasted your time. I don't care about that. You've wasted your audience's time. And as somebody in the research that I suggested was, a presentation without follow-up is no more or less than business cabaret. Entertaining while it lasts, but a supreme waste of time in the long run. That was the biggest problem that we encountered in our research. And people were very frustrated by the lack of follow-up. So just to wrap it in, guys, ask people for their reactions, listen to their responses, agree a course of action, and follow up like crazy. Do all of these things, do all 10, and you will be delighting your audience's expectations. Part 4, which we'll be dealing with fairly soon, will look at how we nail our objectives to our presentation mast and we structure everything in the most effective possible way. This is Michael Horner at fantastictraining.co.uk saying thank you for looking, thank you for listening, and we'll be in touch soon. Don't be afraid to look at my marvellous website at www.fantastictraining.co.uk. Goodbye.